Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World Survival Frenzy Pack Scelidosaurus from Mattel. So this is a brand new species from Mattel, and I'm really happy to have it. You know, I like to collect all the different species. I recently just got back from Target, and I was actually looking for a whole bunch of new things, like the Hammond Collection Mutodon and all that stuff, and I just happened to come across just this new guy, which is the only new thing that I saw there. So, you know, I just thought, you know, might as well just pick it up because it is one I'm still looking for. And yeah, I'm really glad I have it because it is a new species. And yeah, really excited to have this in the collection. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the packaging here. You got your standard Jurassic World Survival packaging. You got the cool Jurassic World Survival logo, the Jurassic World Rebirth, you know, T-Rex style logo, the really cool caution tape little design in the background, which is really cool. And you got a nice little picture of some jungle back there, which looks really nice. Frenzy Pack Scelidosaurus, says Mattel. And then here at the back, it just shows you a bunch of cool things like the Jurassic World logo and the other figures in the lineup, such as the Rhamphorhynchus, the Velociraptor, Deinonychus, and Scelidosaurus. So obviously I already have the Scelidosaurus. Now I'm just taking a, you know, hoping to find the Deinonychus somewhere down the line, because that's definitely a species I want, and I'm really excited to take a closer look at that one whenever I do. So yeah, and then you got the Scelidosaurus, and then the facts app information, and a whole bunch of stuff down here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this new dinosaur. Alrighty, so here we have the Frenzy Pack Scelidosaurus out of the box. And this is an overall pretty nice little figure. I really do like the way it looks. I think overall it captures the look of a Scelidosaurus pretty nicely, in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate. I'll definitely say that. So if you're wanting like something that's like super accurate to the fossil record, then, you know, this figure is, you know, does not really represent that. But just for a figure that Mattel made to kind of represent a real life species, I think it looks pretty nice. And for being part of the survival line, I don't really see anything on this figure that looks very mutated or any exaggerated features or anything. So that's really cool. I like how Mattel kind of still stays true to like making, like, you know, a bit more realistic looking animals in their figure forms. So I really do like that. And yeah, overall pretty nice little figure. Now, from what I know, Scelidosaurus is, I believe it's from, I think like the early Jurassic, I believe, and I think it lived in England. Or at least somewhere around that region. And yeah, I think it has like one of the most complete like fossil discoveries ever. I've seen pictures on the internet of like a full, you know, fossilized specimen of Scelidosaurus, and that is really cool stuff how they're able to find that, especially because it shows you all the different osteoderms that are on it, which is clearly covered, you know, covering the entire dinosaur, which I think Mattel captured very nicely on this one. Now, in terms of like proportions and accuracy, I wouldn't say it is the best. I mean, it's pretty cool. Now, Scelidosaurus, from the pictures I've seen, is either portrayed either walking on 4 legs or walking on 2 legs. You can't really pose this thing to look like it's walking on 2 legs. This one, I think Mattel kind of favored the idea of just walking on 4 legs. So that right there is pretty interesting to think about, because it's either, you know, a quadruped or a biped, and this one doesn't really look like you can really have it in a biped pose. Plus the forearms probably could have been a bit longer and maybe a bit smaller, I guess, in a way. And the tail for sure should have been much longer, because that's how it is on the real animal, and a bit more thinner as well. Kind of, it almost looks like Mattel kind of got inspiration from like the very old school representations of dinosaurs, where like their hips, you know, the back part right here is like, you know, much more high off the ground, and the tail is kind of more drooping down or something like that, and the neck and the head's kind of rearing up a bit more. So that's pretty interesting in its own way. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the overall detail right here. Taking a look at the head. The head actually looks pretty good. I'm not sure I would say 100% accurate, but overall it looks pretty good. I think it represents a herbivorous, you know, little dinosaur like this very nicely. You got the little beak right there, which looks really nice. I like the little creases along the back part of the beak, kind of like where the wrinkles in the mouth is, showing you there is a lot of movement there when it's like eating plants and all that. You got the little nostrils right there, which look really nice. You got some nice little details in the skull right here on the side. And you get the little eye ridge right there, which looks really nice, and the eyes look pretty good with the detail and everything. And the entire head has covered in like these really tiny, fine-looking scales, which looks really nice. You got some, little osteoderms or spikes jutting out from the side of the face right here. You got even the little ear hole up there too, which is really cool. I like how Mattel kind of focuses on like actual like anatomy when it comes to their dinosaur figures. So adding like the little ear hole is pretty nice. And on the top of the head, you got really nice, large or thick-looking scales here at the top of the head, which actually looks really nice. I really do like the way those look. Same with the other side, it's pretty much the same. The only one of the things that I think is I kind of wish they didn't do is making the head like super wide, like in a really big triangle-shaped, head. It definitely would have been a bit more thinner in real life, I would say. From the side, it actually looks pretty thin. But then when you look at it from it head on, it's definitely a little too wide. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is definitely noticeable, especially when comparing it to other, the real life pictures of like Scelidosaurus, I guess you could say. Moving down to the neck, for the top part, you got a really nice, like, first of all, you got like all these osteoderms right here on the neck, but then in between the osteoderms, you got like almost like this crocodilian looking pattern in the skin up here where it's like segmented in a way, if that makes sense. And you got some tiny little bumps within those segments as well, which is really cool detail choice for sure. And then here on the side, it's just pretty much, tiny fine scales in between the scutes right here, which look really good. And the same thing goes for the underside. You got like these tiny little, scales that kind of, go along the neck. You got like this little vein structure right here. And then it fades into like this really cool pattern, which we'll get into when we get to the body. But yeah, the scutes look really nice as well. I like the detail of the scales wrapping around the base of the scutes. That's a really cool detail. And the scutes themselves have a lot of nice detail with the little lines and everything on them. So it looks really good. And then we move on to the body, and the body looks pretty good. Starting off with the top, you got your normal row of scutes, which actually you got like one row that starts from the back of the head right here, and it goes all the way up, all the way down the spine, and goes all the way down, pretty much down the rest of the tail, which is really nice. And then you got the second row on both sides that go down along the back as well, and they go down the tail for a little bit before they kind of fade into the smaller ones, but they pretty much end at the same time. And then here on the body, both on this side and the other side, you just got like a whole bunch of more little osteoderms or scutes here on the side of the body, which look really good, really great detail in those little scutes. Also on the top, in addition to these little scutes, you got the more segmented looking pattern in the skin up here, which looks really cool, very reminiscent to a crocodilian, so I really do like that. And you got like tiny little bumps in between those segments, so that looks really good too. And then here on the side, you got a lot of great looking scales here on the side of the body, which look really good, almost crocodilian in a way because they're very square shaped, but still they are very cool looking overall. So yeah, really great detail on the skin. I think Mattel does really good when it comes to their sculpt on their like smaller Frenzy Pack figures, because the detail is just super good. So I really do like the way the scales look on there on the side. And then here at the bottom, it's really cool. So you got like the tiny little scales right here, but then they start to fade into like almost crocodilian like scales, where they have like that crocodilian pattern where they're very square shaped, almost like a checkerboard in a way. Really cool stuff. Like you can see here at the base of the neck and going down the body, very crocodilian like with the little square looking scales, which is really cool. A very interesting choice for a Scelidosaurus, which is actually funny enough. I was kind of looking up this dinosaur before doing this review, just to kind of get a good idea. And with the website I was on, I could have sworn it was talking about something like an early description, or I guess like an early theory about this dinosaur being a bit more, I guess, semi-aquatic in a way, being able to go into the water. I didn't read that too much, so I don't know if that's actually true or it's just like a debunked theory or anything like that, but that's kind of funny considering that they gave it like the crocodilian scales here on this one, because it's almost like saying like it is semi-aquatic, but I don't know if it is or it isn't. So if any of you guys happen to know anything about this cool dinosaur, you know, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But yeah, the crocodilian scales look really good. I like how they did that. It's very unique for this type of dinosaur. And then going down the rest of the tail, you know, you got all the scoots down the tail, really nice scales going throughout the rest of the body and the rest of the tail. The crocodilian scoots or scales kind of continue down all the way down the rest of the tail, and you got the smaller scales here at the top side. It looks really nice, and these little segmented parts up here pretty much end right here, and it kind of fades into like a bit more of some scales. Maybe you got some more kind of right here in this more smoothed area, but still really nice detail overall. And I really like how you got some scoots on the underside of the tail. That's pretty interesting. I really do like that. Kind of adds more to this figure, in my opinion. So that looks really good. Moving on to the arms. The arms, like I said before, are maybe a little too short and stubby for, in my opinion. But overall, they look pretty good. Really great scale detail on the arms for sure. And you got some little scoots along the shoulder, which looks good. The rest of the scales on the rest of the arm look really good as well. And you got the little four-fingered hands, which I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate in terms of the digits on the hands, but still, the claws look really good, and the scoots along the digits look really nice as well. And then moving on to the hind leg, great muscle definition on the hind legs as well. And you got some larger, you know, scoots, osteoderms on the side of the leg as well, and some really nice scale detail throughout the rest of the thigh right here, which looks really good, looks really realistic. And the same thing kind of continues down throughout the rest of the foot. A lot of great scale detail. Got the little knee area right there, and I like the way the scales look here on this little calf area. I don't know, they just pop out. I really like the way they look. But yeah, the scales look really good throughout the rest of the body, or the rest of the leg, excuse me. And then you got the four-toed feet right here, which again, not sure if it's 100% accurate or not. But still, the claws look pretty good, pretty sharp for the most part. Not super sharp, but I like how pointed they are. And then you got the little scoots on the toes going up the rest of the foot. So here's the same foot on the other side. So really nice detail for there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the detail on this Scelidosaurus. And I think it is very nice. Mattel did an awesome job with the detail on this one. And also here is the scan code for that too, if anyone happens to need that. And I like the detail on the underside of the foot as well. Same with the hands. So really nice there. Now moving on to the colors, this is probably the only thing that I probably dislike about the figure, surprisingly. My only gripe is probably just the way the paint is applied to this figure, or I guess maybe the way the colors are applied to this figure. Now I have nothing against the color choices. The color choices are really good. I like the browns and this little white cream color. And then the red for the head, I really like how the red is only present on the head. It makes it highlights the head a bit better, and I don't know, it just kind of feels a bit more natural in my opinion, so I really do like that. I guess the only thing I just dislike is just the way, I guess the white is applied, I guess you could say. I mean, I like the way where the red or the orange is around the face. I really do like that. But I personally feel like that maybe they should have taken this white color and only applied it to the scoots, the osteoderms themselves. I think that would contrast very nicely against the brown body. I think that would have been pretty nice. And if they happen to have like an extra color, maybe like a warm grayish beige color for the underside, maybe to make it kind of, I don't know, feel a bit more complete, I guess. The way the colors are applied, at least the white, it looks like one of those color changer dinosaurs, I would say. Like when you take it out and you dip it in the water and it reveals its true color, and the colors, so for some of them, aren't like some of their other figures from the main line. It just kind of, they're just kind of like just splotched on there. That's the vibe that I'm getting when I look at this one. It just kind of looks more like a, I don't know, just something like one of those color changers, because it's just not like fully colored. They just added color to it. Like this is what you get after taking it out of the water, which is pretty interesting. I like how it kind of speckles, the white kind of speckles here along the side of the body and the legs, and here at the tail. But I just feel like it could have been a bit better in my opinion, in terms of the paint application. And of course, the claws on the hands and feet aren't really painted, but that's to be expected. I just think it would have been nice if just the scoots were in this white color and the brown would just be for like the rest of the body. And you got like this reddish color for the head, which is really nice. Now the beak isn't really painted. I mean, I guess it is painted here in this orange color, which actually looks really good against the brown. But it would be nice if it was like maybe a bit more of like a darker color. The eyes themselves, the eye is just this orange, the same orange color with the pupil being the brown, which is pretty interesting. Would have preferred a different color for the eye, in my opinion. On the other side, you don't really see a whole lot. This is the best one I could, well actually, this is the only one I could find. I didn't want to have to wait till I could find maybe one with a better eye. I just wanted to get it so I didn't, have to miss out on it. But yeah, the paint is, not as good on the eye on this one, but it is pretty good on this one as well. But overall, I really do like the color choices. I just think that it could have been applied a bit better, in my opinion. And also, you got this little segment here at the bottom, which is actually a rubber insert into the plastic. So it's very rubbery, and these scoots are not painted. They're just molded in this color, so these are not going to scuff, which is pretty nice. But everywhere else, it probably is going to scuff because those are actually painted on. But, still an overall pretty good figure. Now, in terms of articulation, you just got an articulated joint here at the base of the neck where it attaches to the body. So nothing for the head, unfortunately. But for the neck, you can make it look up like that, which is pretty nice. You can make it look up at something. And you can make it look down, which is actually pretty cool because you can have it look like it's drinking water, which is pretty cool. I still think that the limbs are a little too short because it feels a little bit too squat, too, low to the ground, I guess I would say. Especially when you have it like this, like it's just way too low to the ground, in my opinion. But yeah, the head can go up and down like that. The arms, they can move forward about that far. The neck scoots kind of block it from keeping it to, having to move forward more. You can move it back about that far. So not a whole lot of articulation for the arms, but they are in a walking position or a quadruple position, so you can't really position it to look like anything else anyway. So it is what it is. The hind legs, a bit more stiffer on mine, but they do work. You can move it forward about that far and move forward about that far. So this one has a lot more, mobility compared to the arms, but still pretty basic for a frenzy pack, just forward and backwards, which is pretty nice. And then the tail can also swivel, left and right. That's also pretty typical. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. So overall, pretty nice. All right, so now for comparisons, here we have the Scelidosaurus next to a human, and here we have Dr. Henry Loomis. And I would say the size is actually not too far off, in my opinion, based on the pictures that I've seen on the internet. The Scelidosaurus definitely was pretty short in stature compared to a human. So overall, I think Mattel captured the size very nicely on this one, even if it's not 100% accurate. Like I would say maybe it's still a little too big, but overall height, it's not too far off. But still, next to a human character, these two look really nice together. Alrighty, and so for the final comparisons, here we just have the Scelidosaurus next to a couple of other, Nodosaur, Ankylosaur, like dinosaurs. Now, it's not really known for sure, like what family group Scelidosaurus belongs to. I know it is an Ornithischian, and it is known as, I think, as a primitive thyreophorian dinosaur, which does include groups like Stegosaurus. But I do think it also has some sort of relation towards Nodosaurs. So since there really isn't like a definitive family group, I guess this dinosaur belongs to, or at least anything that we have from like Mattel, I just threw in a couple of Nodosaurs just for size comparison, and they all look pretty nice together for the, just what we've seen right here. And you can definitely tell, what I was saying about the colors being applied, could have been better on the Scelidosaurus. Like they just look pretty good on these other three. But then the Scelidosaurus, I feel like it, just could have been better. Like I swear the scoots could have been just the white color instead of just having it be a splotched, white paint color on top like that. But overall, all of these look pretty good next to each other. Alright everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For my final thoughts on this figure, I think it's a pretty nice little figure. I think Mattel did a pretty good job representing this species of dinosaur. I'm just happy to have this species in my collection. That's another new species down, and there's so many more out right now that I need to get from my collection. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The detailing of the sculpt is really good as well. Even if it's not fully 100% accurate, it still looks pretty good. I still wish that maybe the paint could have been applied a bit better, though the color choices are pretty good for sure. And the articulation, although very basic, it works well for this figure for what it is. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy to have it in my collection. Now I just gotta find a good spot for it on the shelf. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.